Hello. Welcome to the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. We are doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it now. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it now. We're talking about Week 8, baby.
Week 8. Yeet.
Yeet. We're going to talk about the little part one of the matchups. Let's just get right into it. What do you want to talk about first here?
Yeah, so today it's just your boy T. I'm here with the mad scientist, Mr. Mike. Mac Attack's not here. He's MIA. We don't know where he is.
We really don't know where he is.
He's out here.
He's or he's not.
Well, yeah, out where? We don't know, but he's out here somewhere. Okay.
But yeah, not wearing headphones somewhere.
So we're gonna try to hold this down. We're gonna try and run it with 2/3 of the average bros,
as we do a lot of times.
Always. Hey, but we're out here. We're trying to help you guys get your information. We're busy. We got the jobs, the things we're doing. Trying to help you get this information out here to you guys. Just give you some stats, some numbers on some players, and some matchups to try to help you win your fantasy football championships. All right, like you said, let's just jump into it. So last week they had a London game. Melvin Gordon was kind of hamstring. You didn't know if he was going to play, and we emphasized make sure you set your lineup or just make sure everyone's playing. So we got another London game. So you got the Eagles and the Jaguars. The Eagles are -3. It's in London again. This game's going to be at 6:30 in the morning. I don't think there's any really injury designations going on like there was last week, like I just mentioned. But just keep an eye on, make sure those guys are in your lineup and make sure they're playing, in the morning. You don't want to surprise inactive for some reason and, they're not playing. So try to check that out. So we'll start on the Eagles side of the ball. Carson Wentz, it's been looking really good. I feel like he's finally gotten back to like that MVP form he was at last year. So I feel like you just start him every week. I mean, I don't know this, unless you have a better option. I mean, realistically, Wentz is probably your only option at the time. I mean, you got to go out there and throw him out there. I mean, if me, I'm always saying the NFL's rigged and stuff like that. But if Dak Prescott could go out there and score 40 points with the Cowboys against the Jags D, then I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz can do it. At least put up some decent numbers here. So it is the Jags defense though, so maybe you want to temper your expectations. But I mean, would there be anyone you'd be willing to stream over Carson Wentz? Like, let me throw out what about Andy Dalton?
No, I mean, he's got a good matchup, but he's had good matchups. When he played the Falcons and we said the same thing. Ooh, yeah, Andy Dalton. He didn't really do so hot that week.
Yeah,
I'd probably say Carson Wentz still.
Yeah, that'll probably. I mean, like I said, unless you have you had a Mahomes or someone like that, you most likely have to start Carson Wentz. So we're going over to the running backs here. This situation's been kind of messy. We said that as soon as Ajayi went down, we knew this was going to be messy. You got Corey Clement in here. You got Wendell Smallwood. I think he led the team in snaps or carries again for the second consecutive year. Maybe they're just, giving Clement a pitch count again just to make sure he's okay because they are thin on running back. But I don't know if I would trust either one of these running backs here. It's a tough matchup. Jaguars, one of the best Ds. I know they've been struggling, lately, but they're pretty good against the run. So I think I'd be fading either one of these guys. Personally, if you had a better option. I mean, I guess if you're in a pinch, you got to throw one of them out there. I would lean Clement just for the receiving upside. But, I mean, this is a low-scoring game right here, 42 points over under. It's not a lot of points expected to be scored. So I'd probably be fading both these running backs here.
Yeah, I'm playing Corey Clement in a league, and I'm not feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're kind of hoping he falls into the end zone because of the yards. If he doesn't get a touchdown, then he might not put up a good game for you.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't. Being in London, you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we do know Jaguars are pretty good in London.
Yeah, so London's kind of low key. They're like a home away from home. I mean, I was telling you the other day that their owner, he offered to buy one of the stadiums out there in London because I think he wants to potentially move the Jaguars out there to London. So. Yeah, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with these running backs. So the receivers, though, you got Alshon Jeffrey. He's just been balling. I mean, I did some numbers in draft season. I was looking at Alshon Jeffrey, and I was actually pretty high on him, just because he has his old coach from back when he was playing with Chicago, and remember those first couple years with Alshon Jeffrey in Chicago, and he was just like 1,400 yards, like 10 touchdowns, like he was just balling like crazy, and then it's never been the talent Alshon Jeffrey. It's just been healthy. Can he stay on the field? And the point I'm trying to make here is that same coach he had when he was in Chicago was the wide receivers offensive coordinator coach now in Philadelphia. So that's why I think he's been getting more targets than normal this year because I feel like they know, like, hey, we got to get this guy's ball. He's like a freak athlete, he's one of those guys where he's kind of like a DeAndre Hopkins. Like when he's open when he's not open, because he can make a play on the ball. So he's going to be going against Ramses. Ramses is the best, but not this year. This year he's been kind of slacking. Yeah, I don't know if he's hurt. Maybe he's nursing an injury like on the low, and that's kind of affecting him. But I mean, it'd be tough to sit Alshon Jeffrey after he's just been balling lately. Right. I mean, would you sit him? Do you have any leagues or?
I don't have Alshon Jeffrey, but I still feel comfortable. He's one of those. He's almost in that. It's like you don't want to put him in that tier 1, but he really is there, and you could put him in every week, week after week, like Thielen or Hopkins, or you just got to put him in.
Yeah. He's been putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. I think he has like 2 or 3 20-point games already since he's been back. I mean, I have him in a league, but it's a double flex league, so I already have some good receivers to be about 1 and 2, so I'm going to throw him out there. So I guess he's got maybe like wide receiver 3 flex territory, you know what I'm saying? Right. Just maybe limit expectations here. If he doesn't, go off, it's because he's going against Ramsey. So, but yeah, it'd be tough to sit that guy right there. So then another receiver there is Nelson Aguilar. So since Ramsey will be on Alshon Jeffrey, that could leave things open for Nelson Aguilar here. So it's just some stats on Aguilar right here. The Jags allow 16 points. PPR points per game to slot wide receivers, and that's the 5th most. So the Jags allow the 5th most PPR points to slot wide receivers, and that's where Nelson Aguilar lines up a lot. So, sneaky play. I don't know how confident you would feel throwing Aguilar out there, but I mean they got to.
He's in. I think I read he was in like 98% of snaps. So
yeah,
I mean he's out there.
Yeah,
I mean I'd go with other people.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think it's probably boom or bust play kind of here, but I mean the matchup's pretty good. So if you have him and I think I have to throw him out there in one league. So I got so many people on buys and so many people banged up. I got to throw him out there in my flex. I don't love it, but I mean, I guess if the numbers are pointing to he does have a good matchup. So if he sees like 8 targets, he could potentially get you some points right there. So
for sure.
Moving on to the tight end right here, Zach Ertz. He's just set it and forget it every week. I don't care who he's playing. Him and Carson Wentz just have like a bromance connection, and that's the number 1 in Philadelphia, not Alshon Jeffrey.
I think he's the only player I haven't moved from any lineup.
Because you don't. You just put him in there, and he just gets it. He's getting like 10 targets every single game, which is crazy for like a tight end. So, set it and forget it every week. So, defense-wise right here, I like the Eagles' defense. They're good. And Blake Bortles. Enough said.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the other side of the ball here. So Jags, like we said, Blake Bortles, enough said. Definitely, I don't know. It would be tough to play him. You'd have to be in a serious pinch here.
That's like some double quarterback leagues type of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of that you mentioned double quarterback league. I got a buddy. He was asking me like he's in a 2 quarterback league here, and I think he has someone like 2 of his quarterbacks are on a bye, or one of them's on a bye. So he had to pick up someone, and he was like Brock Osweiler or Blake Bortles, and I was like, bro, you're shit or shit. You're fucked, kind of.
I would pick Blake Bortles over.
Yeah,
Brock,
so
though.
he wanted to do Osweiler because of how bad Bortles was, but I told him Osweiler's not good, and I also told him also being a Dolphins fan that we're not good against the Texans. I don't know what it is, but we just don't play good. So, just an interesting stat that I did find out on the Eagles though is that I think they allow like the 5th or 6th most points to receivers outside the number. So they're pretty good against the slot. They're good against the run, but what you can throw on them. So you never know. I mean, Blake Bortles, he's so hard to predict. He's like up and down always, and you would have to be in a serious pinch to start him right there. Like I said, there's probably someone like an Andy Dalton on the waiver wire. Or I'd go a Baker Mayfield or someone. There has to be someone better on the waiver wire.
Yeah, just don't put him in any lineup.
Yeah. All right, so we're kind of taking forever on this game, but the Jags running back. So
Carlos Hyde
coming in. Fournette's out again. They're saying probably realistically he's not coming back until after the bye. I think they have a week 10 bye, so Fournette probably won't be back till week 11. So would you feel comfortable starting Hyde right now, or?
I'm actually starting him in a league where I need to. I like the game script where I think that just because Jags they do well in London, they could be ahead and run the ball. I like Carlos Hyde. I like watching him play anyways. So I have him in one lineup. I don't like same thing on the other side, Corey Clement. I don't feel great about it, especially with Eagles run D.
Yeah.
But I have him in a lineup.
For sure. For me, I have Fournette in a couple leagues, but luckily I've grabbed Yeldon, and I was looking at the numbers, and Yeldon in one of the leagues, I don't know how everyone's scoring is different, but he's the running back 9 in my league. So I mean, I don't know why they went out and got Carlos Hyde. This is why it worries me for Fournette. It's not necessarily that I think they don't trust Yeldon or think Yeldon's good enough. It's more along the lines of like, I think Fournette is hurt way more than they're willing to let off, and he could be out for the year. So that's why they went to go hit him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that could be it too.
So speaking about Hyde, I just don't know how much he's gonna learn. Like he's got to learn all the plays and stuff like that. I can only imagine 10 touches, 12 touches, maybe 15 at the most is what I would guess. Because I mean, he's got to learn the playbook. Like I said, T.J. Yeldon's been doing not terrible. He's been doing the ball, and T.J. Yeldon's a receiving back here. So, these guys would be like flex guys for me at the best. I really want to see how this pans out, and I think we'll have a way, way better understanding next game or going forward as to how this is going to break down. But, I mean, realistically, you're probably looking at like a 50-50 split. I'd actually lean 60-40 Yeldon over Hyde. That would be my opinion or my guess. But like I said, who knows? Only the coach knows and the players out there. So just temper. I mean,
avoid it if you can. Yeah, that is what my advice would be there.
For sure.
If you can avoid it, do that.
So the receivers here. I mean, if you're starting one of these receivers, your receivers are probably terrible. So you get better.
Yeah.
But like Anthony said, this every week it's just someone different. We think it's DD one week, we think it's Cole at the beginning of the year. Now it's like Moncrief, and then it'll probably be DD this game, and then you just never know. You're really just taking playing Russian roulette with these receivers here. So I would avoid all these receivers. Like we just said, you don't really trust Blake Bortles at all either. So I would be avoiding them. Jags D, I'd start them. I mean, I think that, like I said, it's 42-point over under. I think it's a low scoring game. I mean, if you have Jags D, you drafted them high probably. Yeah, you're probably fucking playing them. So all right, let's run into this next matchup. We got the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are -8, and the over/under is 49.
You want to put your entire life savings into this game, but
I really do want to bet everything I have on the Steelers money line. The reason why is Big Ben is 21-2-1 all time against the Browns.
Yeah,
I don't think that Baker Mayfield can go into to Pittsburgh and win on the road. I think this will be a good game. Maybe you convinced me that 8, they might cover 8. The Browns.
Yeah, I think they could. I think they'll cover 8. But on the other side of things, Steelers, you're at home. I'm excited to watch Big Ben throw some footballs.
Big Ben, he was like, hug it, chug it,
football.
Football.
Yeah, I'm hyped to watch Big Ben at home. I feel very comfortable playing him at home. Even though the Cleveland's got a pretty good defense, I still like it.
Yeah, Big Ben coming off. He has those home road splits. I feel like every time he plays at home, he has like 400 passing yards and like 4 touchdowns or something like that. So I would definitely be playing Big Ben. Good matchup. James Conner, you're throwing him out there. AB, Juju, you're throwing those guys out there. Those guys are. I feel like AB and Juju are both almost like set and forget us every week too.
Right.
Juju, that guy, he good. So, trying to jump to the tight end here because tight ends kind of hit or miss every single week around the league. So, Vance McDonald, if you have him or he's on your waiver wire, I would definitely go grab him. But feel confident throwing him in your lineup this week. I mean, so the Cleveland Browns, they have a linebacker. He's the highest graded coverage linebacker per Pro Football Focus. His name's Joe Schobert. So he's not going to be playing, and he's the best coverage linebacker in the entire NFL. He's not going to play on Sunday, so that's going to leave Vance McDonald against like a backup, basically. Hole. Yeah. So that guy, the Joe Schobert guy, he didn't play last week when the Browns played the Bucks. The Bucks tight ends combined for 12 receptions and 111 yards. So I think this is a Vance McDonald game here. I think he eats. I think the Steelers scored 40 plus points. So if you need a tight end, you got Vance McDonald, throw him in there with confidence. If you need a tight end and he's out there on your waiver wire, go grab him, start him as well. Defense, I'm not playing this defense. I don't know would you feel comfortable playing the Steelers defense?
No.
All right, so let's jump over to the Cleveland side of the ball. Baker Mayfield.
Receivers, Juju, AB, play them.
Yeah, you're playing them every week.
You're not really playing Switz or anything.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. Baker Mayfield, how do you feel about him this game? Because you were saying that you could pick him up and keep him for a couple weeks potentially.
Yeah, I did pick him up, and then I dropped him. But
It was just a bye week feeling for you, right?
Yeah. But I don't mind this matchup though. Secondary is still not that great. Yeah, I don't mind it. Wait, Artie Burns isn't that good of a corner. It's like I'm comfortable with Baker Mayfield this week. High over under 49.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're streaming him. I mean, most likely Baker's not your starting quarterback. He's a backup, or like he's someone you're going to throw in on a bye week fill-in. So, I mean, like you said, you have this. The schedule is juicy coming up. I think they play like the Kansas City and the Falcons. They play like some of the worst teams. Like they're all bottom 5 against the pass.
Yeah.
So if you have them, just stash them. Even if you don't play them this week, maybe you can play them next week in a better matchup. So let's jump to the running backs here. You got Nick Chubb, first game, taking over. I think he had 18 carries or something like that for 80 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel about Chubb? Duke Johnson had a terrible game. So how would you feel about these running backs?
I don't like Nick Chubb going into this game. Steelers, as bad as their secondary is, their rush defense is pretty good. I think they're rated like second or third or something like that in the league for rush defense. So I don't feel that great about Nick Chubb, but Duke Johnson, that's not a bad play. Pass catching ability might actually end up doing a little bit better than Nick Chubb this week.
Yeah, Duke Johnson
bold prediction.
Lately has been like the Amari Cooper of running backs. It's like one game he has a good game, then shit, and then good and shit, like roller coaster.
Or
up
like
and
the
down.
Deion Lewis.
Yeah, Deion Lewis. So yeah, I would agree with everything you just said there. Chubb, I think if he doesn't fall into the end zone, I don't think he gives you a good fantasy game. I mean, he's gonna have to get a goal line carry from the 1, I think, to have any type of fantasy value for this week. Because like you just said, Pittsburgh's run defense is really tough, and I think they could be behind in this game. So that would mean more throwing. More Duke Johnson. I think this is a Duke Johnson game, especially because I feel like the corners on the outside. Joe Hayden's, he's a savvy veteran. He's still good. And I mean, Artie Burns might not be the best, but he's better than whatever outside receiver, the Antonio Callaway, Damian Ratley, or whatever his name is. Like, who are the Cleveland Browns receivers? They're like no one besides Landry. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I would try to fade Chubb, and I think this would be a Duke Johnson game as well. So receivers here, we just talked about it. Antonio Callaway, Ratley, whoever. Rashad Perryman, you're not playing any of those guys. The only receiver you should ever play is Landry. I feel like he's a set and forget it every week because he's just getting targets. I saw a stat. It was like Landry's like one of, I don't know, like I think it was like one of like 10 receivers to have 10 or more targets in like 7 of the games so far. So it's like he's getting hyper targeted like crazy. So good matchup for Landry here. The Steelers, I think I wrote it down right here. Oh, the Steelers allow the third most points to the slot wide receivers, and then Landry lines up in the slot 73% of the time. And another interesting stat on Landry, so he's ranked wide receiver number 20 right now for the points that he's scored, but he's actually ranked second in expected points, meaning like the opportunities for the amount of targets he's had and like where his targets have been, like in the goal line and stuff like that. He's should have scored the second most points. That's how much target he's getting. So. Like I said, Landry, I think, set it and forget it every single week. He's just going to get the target. He's obviously safer in PPR compared to the standard. Tight end wise, David Njoku. Here's a guy who I came to you and I told you, bro. I've seen since Baker's taken over. I feel
he's
like
getting
he's targeting
so much
him,
targets.
and like he's his yards per carry went from 4.5 yards catch. I mean his yards per catch went from like 4.5 with Tyrod Taylor to like over like 11 yards per catch with Baker Mayfield. So
I think everybody's targets went up after Tyrod stopped.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, Njoku, he's kind of turning into a set it and forget it for me too, just because. I mean, the guy's an athletic freak. He's a big body athletic freak. He's not a tight end. He's just an oversized wide receiver, basically.
Prince Njoku.
Yeah. So definitely, I'll definitely be starting him, especially in a potential shootout where they're going to be trailing and they need to throw the ball. I think Njoku sees another 8 to 10 targets easy. And he's got that red zone upside as well. So
for sure.
Browns defense, definitely fading them. All right, so let's jump over to the next game. Got the Denver Broncos at Kansas City. The Chiefs are -10. The over/under is 53.5. Starting the Denver side, since we're over there.
It's a high ass over/under.
I would probably be fading Case Keenum unless you were super in a pinch. I mean, this guy, like I said, Andy Dalton's out there in some leagues, so I would go play him. Jameis Winston's out there in some leagues, I would play him. Baker. I'm not playing Case Keenum. He's been pretty bad. And low-key, the Chiefs' defense the last couple games at home has been pretty good. So I'm fading him. The player I want to touch on this matchup is Phillip Lindsay. So Royce Freeman, he's going to be out. I think it's an ankle injury. So, I mean, Lindsay was already balling with Freeman there. And now it's like, now we get to see what Phillip Lindsay's all about, Devontae Booker's probably going to get some run here and there, but I think this is a game where Phillip Lindsay finally gets like 20-plus touches.
Do you think that Phillip Lindsay will end up taking over those touches that Royce Freeman had? Or do you think that Booker will take some of them too? And then it's going to be more of like a 60-40? Like, I still feel like Phillip Lindsay will get more, but...
Yeah, I feel like Phillip Lindsay's going to get more. I feel like Booker's going to get some run, but not much,
Because before it was like
he might get like 5 to 8 touches, Booker, where I think Lindsay gets like 15 to 20 touches.
Right.
So, and just some numbers on the Chiefs defense. So the Chiefs are tied for second most yards allowed to running backs through the air, and they allow the second most receptions in the league. So, Lindsay's the guy where he's catching the ball too. So he offers that receiving upside as well. Would you start Devontae Booker? Thinking like Foreman's out?
No.
Yeah,
I don't feel comfortable starting Devontae Booker.
Yeah, no, not at all. He's not very.
I think his numbers will be higher than before, but I don't. His floor is so much lower. I feel like.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, maybe he hits the end zone, but no.
No, this is the Phillip Lindsay show right here. So, jumping over to wide receivers, you got my man crush, Manny Sanders. I mean, I think you're starting him every week. I don't see how you can't. I think he's the wide receiver 3 on the year so far. Mm-hmm. He's just balling. I mean, I thought he was going to be good this year, but I didn't think he was going to be this good.
Right.
I'm like blown away.
Yeah.
But
because he's putting up like wide receiver 1 numbers.
He's wide receiver 3 right now in the year. So the guy's just balling. But
that's probably our best call this year.
Yeah, for sure. One of them, for sure. We've had a couple, but that's for sure one of them. Starting him, it'd be the other receivers that would be kind of iffy here. It'd be Demaryius Thomas and Courtland Sutton.
I'm stashing Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, because I keep hearing rumors of them trying to shop Demaryius Thomas and shopping Emmanuel Sanders. So, I mean, if they end up trading, then
no, that's for sure.
Sutton can go up.
Yeah, the trade deadline is going to be this Tuesday coming up. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, if they trade away one of those guys, then Sutton's value instantly.
I mean, you got to think if you're Denver and you have an older wide receiver like Emmanuel Sanders blowing up in the middle of his career, why wouldn't you want to trade him for that value?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
You might not ever get that again.
100%. Yeah, I'd probably be. I mean, I guess Demaryius would be like a flex guy, but I wouldn't feel comfortable playing with him. I think he's on the decline where Sutton's kind of on the incline in a sense. So
right.
I'd be fading him unless you had better options. But I would. He'd be on my bench, even in a game where they're going to be trailing. He's flex guy. I think.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not thinking he's going to be a stud. So
Denver's defense.
Rayner.
Don't start Denver's defense this time. We had a buddy who played the the Bills defense over the Broncos defense last week.
Yeah,
and took a fat L.
Yeah, the Bills gave him -2, and the Broncos put up 33. Would he have He played you. Would he have beaten you?
No.
It's a 35-point swing right there.
Oh, I don't remember. It wasn't that close though. But I mean, I didn't play. I played Melvin Gordon.
Damn, Rayner, he's throwing shade. He's like, it wasn't even close.
No, because dude, I'm better than him. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, dude, that's makes sense. So yeah, no, Denver's defense, I wouldn't be playing them. I was, been telling people, stash them because they got a couple good matchups coming up. Arizona's win. They have a couple other good matchups coming up in the future. I think next week.
Their playoff schedule actually looks pretty juicy.
I think next week they play at home against the Texans. So, I mean, we know, the Texans did good last night against the Dolphins. But the Houston Texans offensive line is not very good. So, if you want to hold them, don't necessarily drop them because I think Denver at home next week against the Texans is going to be a good streaming option. So, hold on to them for that. Let's jump over to the Kansas City side. This is pretty easy. I feel like you're starting everyone. Mahomes is just the MVP right now. Kareem the Dream is doing his thing. Yeah, I feel like an idiot for trading him in one league.
Yeah, that's okay, dude.
I mean, I got Julio, but
wait. The only person you could ask is like Sammy Watkins. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Sammy Watkins is kind of like a boom or a bust guy every week. But I mean, if that offense, the thing with Sammy Watkins is he's good. He's just the fourth in like the pecking order, you know? Because you got like Tyree, Kelsey, Kareem, and then Sammy Watkins.
And then, they've been, what's that Robinson dude? What's his name?
They have like another guy, DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah.
They have even got Chris Conley, who they've both have had touchdowns too. So
I think Sammy Watkins is above them, but you know they poke into those targets too. But yeah, I'd say Sammy Watkins is a flex play maybe.
Yeah, wide receiver 3, flex guy. I mean, they're at home, so I could see them trying to put up as many points as possible.
Chiefs.
So sneaky streaming defense for me, I think, is the Chiefs. I think their last 2 home games, they've scored 15 points on the defensive side in both those games, 15 and 15. So sneaky streaming defense right there. If you're trying to pick someone up, like I said, they're at home. Denver's offense, Keenum's not very good. So and on the road, playing in Kansas City is tough too. So I would stream them if you needed them. Jump into the next matchup right here. We got the New York Jets against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are -7.5, and the over/under is 45. So I think personally, this is the death of Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Sam Darnold guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he has good moments, but I don't think he's
gonna die.
I think he's gonna just get destroyed. Where he's gonna throw like 4 picks, like Nathan Peterman status.
Really?
I can't imagine this rookie going on the road with banged up wide receivers. Like all of his receivers are hurt. You got Anunwa out. You got Robbie Anderson who's out. Terrell Pryor, they cut him. They signed Rashard Matthews, but he's still learning the playbook and he's still getting acclimated. They don't have a rapport. You got Jermaine Kearse, who's dead to everyone after posting a goose egg last week.
Yeah.
They don't really have a tight end. I mean, that tight end did decent these last 2 weeks. I think he's had a touchdown in back-to-back games, so we'll touch on him in a second. Balil Powell went down. It's just this offense just looks really bad, and I can't imagine them scoring too many points against the Bears. Number 1 defense. In Chicago, I'm worried for Sam Darnold there. So let's jump on the running back real quick right here because some breaking news throughout the week was Jets running back Balil Powell. He's placed on the IR. He has a neck injury, so they said he might not even play football ever again. Like that's how serious it is.
Well, then they got more tests done, and then they said that it's actually not as bad. But it still seems like for sure his season's over and possibly the career.
Yeah. So that kind of leaves the door open for Isaiah Crowell. With him, this is a tough matchup. Like I said, they're on the road in Chicago. Chicago's got one of the best run defenses in the league. They're one of the lowest yards per carry attempts, in the league. I would be fading Crowell here. But the only bright side to Crowell is that he's probably going to see the ball like 20 times, and he can catch the ball. So I think going forward, Crowell, is pretty much locked into like an RB2 role because he's going to see 15 to 20 carries every single week, most likely now, But a name to keep an eye on is running back Elijah McGuire. So I think this is his second year in the league, but he's been on IR this whole time. So they were even talking like in the beginning of the year like that, they might cut Balil Powell because Elijah McGuire was doing so good in training camp, but then he got hurt. So they're like, oh, we need Balil Powell. So here's a guy who has the same skill set as Balil Powell, but the Jets thought he was better, a younger version of him. So keep an eye on him. I think he's coming back either this week or next week, I believe it is. So he's available in 99% of leagues. We dropped a post on it in case you missed it. But he's available in 99% of leagues. If you just want to go grab him now and stash him before people find out who he is, because once people find out who he is, then they're going to want to go get him.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I had to do in a league because I have Melvin Gordon and Sony Michel as my 2 main RB running backs. So I'm in a little bit of a pinch. Stash him for the next couple of weeks, see what's going on.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, like I said, you just never know. See what he does. Grab him before, like I always say, be a week early instead of a week late.
For sure.
So just need to keep it on right there. But yeah, like I said, going forward, Crowell, I think solid RB2 going forward. Receivers, like I just said, for the Jets, they're just all banged up. I think Robbie Anderson was pronounced out. Terrell Pryor is no more.
Pronounced dead.
Yeah, no. Onun was out. Curse is there, but I don't trust him in Chicago. Like I said, I think Sam Darnold is bad, so you're not really starting anyone here. Sneaky guy though, Anthony was talking about him. It's Chris Herndon. I think this is the pronunciation. Last time I tried to pronounce it, I didn't get it right, but I think it's Herndon. Anyways, he's had touchdowns in back-to-back games, so he's like a David Njoku like body. He's from the U. He's a product of Miami University. Like I said, David Njoku type, body. So if you need a tight end or maybe just stash him, you get a tight end coming up on a bye, go grab him. I have to start him in a league this week just because there is no one to throw the ball to. So he's got to throw the ball to somebody. And if there's a guy who's got touchdowns in back-to-back games, you would like to think that he's going to get targeted at least. So Jets defense, you feel comfortable starting them? Bears offense has been putting up points.
Yeah,
this is the number one fantasy defense, I think.
What, the Bears or the Jets?
The Jets.
I feel like the Bears is like second or third, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
No, I mean, they've been doing pretty good, but my thing on them is I think that, like you said, Sam Darnold's fucking not going to do well this game, and so he's not going to be on the field for very long. It's going to be a lot of third and outs. So I think Chicago's offense is just going to be on the field way, way too much for their Jets defense to actually do well.
Yeah, put up some points for you. So yeah, just a thing on the Jets defense. If they're out there, and you have an empty spot, or that you like streaming defenses. For me personally, I know Mike, you like to do it as well, but I'll try to look ahead or 2 weeks ahead and kind of see who's playing who and who has good matchups, and I'll try to grab that defense a week early.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did before last week. I picked up New England's defense because I knew they were playing the Bills.
Yeah,
the next week, and so now I have them for this week.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. So if the Jets are out there and you have a spot, I would go grab them. Their next two games after this one, I think they play at Miami, which I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'm nervous for our offensive line against the Jets front seven. And they play Buffalo Bills. So you're saying you went to go get the Patriots because they're playing the Bills? Well, the Jets play them in a couple weeks. Go grab them now. These next two games for the Jets are pretty juicy, and I think they put up some good points from the defensive side. Let's jump over to the side. Chicago. You got Mitch Trubisky. He's just been balling. Like, some crazy numbers on him. I think he's QB3 or QB1 over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He had that 6 touchdown game.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. You feel comfortable starting him? I mean, he's been playing. He's been putting up points. It's almost like, how do you not play him? I mean, I know it's a tougher matchup on paper, but
I don't want to.
That's kind of,
in my head. It's just like, somebody else, please. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's kind of how I feel as well. I mean, if you have Mitch Trubisky, you probably didn't draft him. You probably picked him up on the waiver wire. So you probably have a different quarterback, like a Rivers, or I don't know, Andy Dalton, Carson Wentz. Some of that Big Ben. Mahomes. Someone else. So,
but he can. Don't stress out if you have him. It's okay to play him.
Yeah. He offers that rushing upside, with like Anthony always touches, if a quarterback runs for 40 yards on the ground, that's basically like throwing for another touchdown.
Right.
So he's been running the ball crazy. I can't remember. He has like over 100 rushing yards in the last 3 games.
Yeah, that's good.
Like he offers that. He kind of has a safe floor, you know what I'm saying? So I guess if you need him, he'd probably be like, if I was going to rank the quarterbacks, he'd probably be like in that 15, 16 quarterback range probably.
Yeah. So
like a fringe RB quarterback one, I mean. Running backs here, Tariq Cohen. You're playing him every week now. I feel like he's a set and forget it almost, the way they've been using him.
Definitely.
I know you have him in a couple leagues. I'm sure you're super happy.
Yeah, everybody made fun of me. Dude, Tariq Cohen, because I drafted a lot of wide receivers at the beginning. So I got kind of stuck with getting Tariq Cohen, and AP is my main couple running backs.
Yeah.
But yeah, set it, forget it with Tariq Cohen, I think.
Yeah, I think he's been getting like 7 targets every game pretty much. So he's been getting a good amount of carries. So the name that kind of has been worrying me is Jordan Howard. I mean, I have Jordan Howard in the league. I started him last week. We kind of just touched on Chubb, saying how, if he doesn't fall in the end zone, like I don't think he has a good game. And that's kind of how I feel about Jordan Howard. Like I feel like if he doesn't fall into the end zone in this game, he's not going to give me. He doesn't offer the upside on the catches. He's, unless he breaks off like a huge run. The yardage total probably won't be there. The Jets front seven's pretty good. I'm kind of nervous for Jordan Howard if I had, you know what I'm saying? I would try to bench him if he had better options. He'd be like a low-end RB2 flex guy for me at the best. So, like I said, if he doesn't fall into the end zone, that's just my opinion. I have him in the league. I'm gonna sit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
which is crazy because I love this guy coming into the year, and like all these stats were pointing in the right direction. It's just at the end of the day, we're always preaching volume. It comes down to volume, and he's just not getting those 20 plus carry games. He's getting like 12 carries and maybe like a reception. So it's like,
and that was what made him viable these past couple of years.
Yeah, if he's getting the ball like 20, 25 times a game, he's
that
one of those
was like
guys.
The argument. It's like, dude, I don't think Jordan Howard's that great. It's like, yeah, but dude, he's getting the ball this much times, and now he's not getting it, like you said.
Yeah, no, he's not getting it. So, who knows? I mean, I'm kind of stashing him because in the next couple weeks, Jordan Howard, the Bears, they play the Lions twice. The Lions have been really bad against the run, so, I would feel more comfortable. I think he's more of like matchup based now. So, I mean, we'll see too once it gets colder. In those wintertime months coming up. In Chicago, it starts snowing, it gets cold.
Yeah, even this weekend.
Maybe they'll want to run the ball a lot more instead of throwing it, and then maybe that's when we see his real value come in because obviously he's the bruiser back, Cohen's not. So, receivers here, I've seen it in a couple leagues, but Allen Robinson's being dropped left and right. People are just. I think you dropped him in one league.
I think I might have. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been big on Allen Robinson.
You know what? I fucking drafted him because my buddy, he was like, bro, I'm super high on. I was my last draft I was going into. He's like, bro, I drafted Allen Robinson in every league. I was like, damn, dude. All right. And then when I'm sitting there drafting, I got kind of like in a spot and ended up drafting him. Fucking regret it ever since.
Yeah. I just didn't like him coming into the year because he had one big year with the Jags. But, if you paid attention, that year, the Jags were behind every game. They were getting blown out. They didn't have a good defense then, so they were getting blown out every game. So it was like Blake Bortles garbage time every fourth quarter, and that's why he blew up and had like 1,400 yards, like 14 touchdowns, whatever it was, because they're always going from behind. So, I didn't think he was going to get hyper targeted this year like he did in the past. So I think he's had a couple good games, but he's also had a couple like really shitty games too, right?
No, he's had
I think last week it was like one reception for 4 yards or something.
It's not been good.
So yeah, that's pretty bad. So I'd be fading him. A receiver that I would actually play and feel comfortable in this matchup is, we're always touching, there's like trends with certain defenses. The Jets are just terrible against the slot wide receiver. So the Jets allow the third most points to slot wide receivers, and that's where Taylor Gabriel lines up majority of the time. So prior to last week, Taylor Gabriel, he had 2 back-to-back 100-plus yard games. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him have another 100-yard game this week. So feel safe dialing him up, throw him out there. Trey Burton, dialing him up, throwing him out there. He's just been balling too, like low-key. I feel like people kind of sleep on him, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But I think in PPR-wise, he's had like 10-plus points
every game,
back-to-back weeks or something like that, like 4 straight games. So I would definitely feel comfortable starting Trey Burton. Defense, dial them up. This is going to be the number 1 defense this year. You heard it here first. I bet my dick the Bears will just destroy Sam Darnold. Don't let me down, Chicago.
Come on, Khalil. Let's get over to the Giants playing Washington Redskins. It's in New York. We saw 3rd and down syndrome do what he did last week. The over-under is 42. This is a pick 'em, so they don't really know who's got this game.
And it's my sleeper last week.
Eli Manning.
Did all right, 400 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown at the end kind of came with him, but he threw for 400 yards.
That's pretty crazy. Dude,
that just shows you that if you're playing against the Falcons defense, that quarterback's going to throw for a ton of yardage.
Right.
And like I had mentioned, prior to that, they just give up the pass, the Falcons. So that's another topic. But so the Giants, I would not be starting Eli this week. I would definitely be fading Eli this week. He can only throw for 1 late touchdown against the worst passing defense in the league. I'm not sure exactly where the Redskins are, but their defense is decent. They're not terrible, they're not great, but they're a solid defense. So division game 2, I'd be fading Eli here. Shaquan Barkley, you're starting him every week. He's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year. That guy's fucking amazing. Odell, you're starting him. He balled out. I think the thing about Odell is he's just not putting up those touchdowns the way people wanted, but he's still getting like 30% target share from his team, which is just crazy good. So, I mean, it means 30% of the targets are going to Odell. So that's what you want from in a number 1 wide receiver. So don't be down on Odell just because he's not scoring as many touchdowns as people would like. He's still getting catches.
I know, it could be Julio.
He has 4 100 plus yard receiving games already on the year, so he's getting the yardage right there. I mean, the offense runs through him and Barkley, and that's it. So let's touch on Sterling Shepard here because he's had a couple good games these last couple weeks. Last week, we touched on him that he would have a good game. Saying how the Falcons had terrible pass defense. So this week, people might be like, "Oh, let me just grab Sterling Shepard. Let me throw him back into my lineup, or let me leave him there because he's had a couple good games in the past." So just something to kind of like a red flag for Sterling Shepard. Maybe temper your expectations. But the Redskins allow the second fewest points to slot wide receivers. That's where Sterling Shepard lines up 71% of the time. So I would probably be fading Shepard here. You probably have a better option for your wide receiver 3 flex guy, hopefully. But I would be fading him this week. Touch on Evan Ingram for a little bit. I don't think he had a very good game.
No.
On Monday night, I think he had like 2 for 23 or somewhere around there. I know you have him in the league. How do you feel about him this week?
I think with good corners like Josh Norman and stuff, you could see more tight end action. But yeah, I in all those leagues that I have Evan Ingram in, I ended up picking up all these tight ends. I feel like as much as we talked about tight ends being injured in the beginning of the year, there's a lot that have come up and have done well. You got O.J. Howard, obviously, but O.J. Howard was injured. You were able to pick him up. You got Ben Watson doing balling. You got a ton of guys. So I don't really like the matchup. I would pick somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of tough unless you have, like I said, if there's a Vance McDonald, I'd probably feel a little bit better with him. I mean, it just depends on who's on your tight end. But, I mean, I feel like if you have him, you're probably throwing him out there.
Yeah.
So he did get a red zone target or two. So Eli was willing to throw him the ball. I mean, maybe if Sterling Shepard struggles this game, maybe Evan Ingram has a good game this week. So we'll see. It's kind of hit or miss with the tight end sometimes. It's like you're banking on a touchdown from most of these guys. And if they don't, then you're probably not going to get any production.
I made the mistake of being super high on Evan Ingram from last year when they literally had nobody on their team when they had Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram left.
Yeah.
And then even Shepard got hurt, so it's like, yeah.
I think what it is with him is, Odell's back. Like I said, he's getting 30% of the targets. And then you got Barkley who's probably getting like 25% of the targets. So, I mean, it kind of leaves, Sterling Shepard's getting 5 or 6 a game. How many targets does there go around for Evan Ingram? Maybe like 4 or 5-ish?
Yeah.
You would think, maybe? I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a scientist. That's your
job.
You
would think the way that Eli throws the ball, he would get more. He likes to throw it literally like just right in front of him.
Yeah, for sure. Fade in Giants defense right here. Jump on the other side. So Washington, Alex Smith, I don't know what it is. Last year he had all these bombs. Maybe it's just a product of the Chiefs offense of how good Alex Smith was. But he's just back to captain check down.
Well, but the years before he'd like to throw it just the same way Eli's throwing it this year.
Yeah. So I'd be fading him. Touch on the running backs, AP right here. He's just been, I don't know, man. He's like Frank the Tank, bro. Those two guys are just, it don't matter how old they are. They're just getting it done. And
yeah.
They're just bruisers. I mean, they're just tough. It's a tough motherfucker right there.
He just slides his little bald head right through those.
Yeah, so
that line.
I think there was a stat where he's had a touchdown or 90-plus rushing yards in like 4 straight games. So I would feel comfortable playing him, especially because the Giants, they just got rid of their best run stopper. He's actually one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Pro Football Focus is, I think his name is Damian Snacks Harrison. So they got rid of him. They traded him to the Lions. So that's just going to leave a huge hole right there. I think that AP probably sees 15 to 20 touches here. Probably falls into the end zone. I think AP's got a safe floor this game right here. A name to keep an eye on it would be Chris Thompson because he's been battling injuries. I don't know if he's practiced at all this week. It's like a 50-50, game time decision for him. So just keep an eye on him. If he's playing, I would play him. At least a flex, low in RB2 because, I mean, like I said, Alex Smith, he likes to throw the ball, check down king. So they don't have any receivers. I'm not playing Doxson. I'm not playing Jameson Crowder. I'm not playing Paul Richardson. Like, I have zero confidence in any of those guys. Like, you'd have to be in a deep, deep, deep league to play any of those guys. Like, that's like, we're talking about the Jags receivers, and, like, you never know who to play every week. The Redskins are the same exact, same exact thing. They're just worse.
Or you don't want to play Pierre Garçon?
Pierre Garçon is on the Niners.
Oh, I mean, I always get Pierre Garçon and what's his name?
Jordan Reed?
No, not that. No, not Jordan Reed. Fucking what's his name? Bro, just you know what I'm talking about, dog. I'm just a scientist, bro.
There's just no good receivers there. Josh Doxson's not good.
That's what I'm at.
Jamison Crowder, he's like, I thought he would be a PPR machine, but he's just not. Who else is there? Paul Richardson, just not. They're not getting the volume. They're not producing. So I would not feel comfortable throwing any of those guys in my lineup. I mean, you got Jordan Reed there. He's like a boomer bust tight end though. I mean, he's healthy finally for once, but he's not producing the way he used to. And Vernon's getting some run here and there too. So even that's sketchy right there. If there's going to be one person I would bank on to catch the touchdown, it would probably be Jordan Reed, though, just because I have zero faith in these other receivers, you know? Would you play Jordan Reed?
Yeah. Doesn't Alex Smith loves Vernon Davis, though?
He does like Vernon Davis.
So, yeah, I don't know.
This could be a good tight end game for the Redskins here. So, I mean, if you have Jordan Reed, I would for sure be playing him this week. So, defense right here. I'm streaming the Redskins defense in the league because,
me too.
Like I said, they got a good front seven. Giants O-line is not very good. And Eli Manning just looks confused. He's not agile or mobile at all, you know. So definitely dial them up. Streaming defense for me this week, Washington Redskins. Let's jump into the next matchup here. We got the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are -3. Over-under's 49.5. So jump on the Seahawks side here. We're getting to the second half of the year, so it's Russell Wilson time.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much what it means. I don't know what it is, but I was looking at some stats, and I think every year but 1 year, like after the 5th or 6th game, they did how many points he would have for the first 6 games, and then they would do from week 7 on how many points he would have. And every single year, minus 1 year, he got better every year. So this is Russell Wilson time right here. I mean, I'm definitely playing him. The Lions defense, I'm not afraid of them. You know,
no,
they're no one to be afraid of. Running backs here, Chris Carson. I would be playing him if you had him. You know, he's had a couple good games. I think he has 2 100-yard games already this year. They should give this guy 15 to 20 carries this game. So we'll see what happens though. But the Lions, they allow 5.3 yards per carry. That's the worst in the league, and they give up among over 140 yards per game on the ground. So you can run all over the Lions. That's why they traded for that guy I just told you about from the Giants, the Snacks Harrison. They traded for him. So I'm not sure how much run he's going to get. You know, he's got to learn the playbook and all that stuff. He might be out there for a handful of snaps, but like I said, the Lions are giving up 5.3 yards per carry. Chris Carson's averaging over 5 yards per carry on the year. So, yeah, I love Chris Carson this week. I think he's a really good play.
Definitely.
Would you feel thinking about Mike Davis or Rashad Penny? I feel like there's some names that keep popping up, but I personally don't think they're anyone.
No. I try and stay away from Seattle's run game, but Chris Carson looks. I would almost try and finagle a trade just for this week, though. Yeah, right. Low key.
Yeah. So receivers here. I've been touching on Tyler Lockett. I feel like every time we do a waiver wire episode, just he's out there still, go get him. And, he's had a touchdown in 5 or 6 games, go get this guy. So if you do have him, I would be worried this week because I think reports are that he's going to get a shadow from Darius Slay. And Darius Slay is, he's like a top 3 corner in the league. He's shut down shadow guy. So I'll be fading Lockett in this matchup if that's the case. Doug Baldwin, I'd be dialing him up.
Yeah, I like it.
Like we just said, Russell Wilson, he turns it up.
What was in your mouth?
Piece of hair. Russell Wilson turns it up in the second half of the year. We just said Tyler Lockett, he's been getting a lot of touchdowns every 5 of the 6 games. So if he sees Darius Slay, that kind of leaves Doug Baldwin to roam from the slot and do what he wants. And don't be worried about Darius Slay, shadowing Baldwin because Darius Slay he doesn't shadow into the slot. So. I would definitely feel comfortable dialing up Doug Baldwin here. It's probably a big Doug Baldwin game. He's had, a couple extra weeks to rest his knees because, his knees were banged up. So, I mean, last week, I think he had a good, 6 catches, 90 yards. So, that's the number one right there. That's Russell Wilson's go-to guy. So, I would definitely, like I said, feel comfortable starting him. Tight ends here, they've got no tight end. So, defense.
We said that against the Texans. They scored 2 touchdowns.
Random ass tight end, yeah. Seahawks defense. No. I kind of like the Seahawks defense this
against
week.
The Lions.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just because I'm coming off a bye and
In Detroit?
yeah. It's just a gut feeling.
All right.
Sometimes you just go with your gut.
I mean, why
I
not?
don't know what I know. Watch the Lions score 50 points.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Bro, it's a 50-point over-under. The lines are favored. It's in Detroit. This doesn't seem like a good week to stream Seattle's defense.
It's called fucking bold strategy.
It's
Mike.
called intuition, bro.
Yeah.
You ever heard of it?
So, all right, talking about the Lions here. Stafford. How do you feeling about Stafford? He's one of those guys.
He's a
Again,
guy.
if you have him, then it's like I feel like you're playing him. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's high over-under. I'm not mad at it. It's all right. It's not like you're going up against 5 years ago Seattle's defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have him in any league, so it's hard to say. But for me personally, but he's a guy.
He's a guy. I feel like Stafford's he has like the safe floor, but he hasn't really blown it away this year. I'm just worried that he could throw a couple picks here because he's known for those games where he throws a couple picks. So, it's just some quarterbacks. Maybe you might start on. You start Andy Dalton over Stafford.
Yeah.
What about Andrew Luck,
Yeah.
Derek Carr,
Who do we got? The Raiders playing this week?
the Colts?
Colts.
I go
I go Stafford on that one,
Stafford right there. Let's see, Goff against the Packers, or
Yeah.
I'd probably go Goff right
Goff.
there too. Derek Anderson against the Pats, or Steph
No. I'm gonna go with Stafford on that one.
for sure.
Is this a trick question?
So it's kind of like a middle run quarterback then. So
Yeah, but I really see him as like a rank. If I were to rank him, I'd put him like literally at 16, right in the middle.
yeah. So for sure. Okay. Running backs, Kerryon Johnson finally got the ball like the way he should. Kind of, he produced. He had a 100-yard game. He's just the best running back there by far, and they just need to end up giving him.
killed it.
Yeah.
It was against Miami though, so
Yeah, our run defense is pretty bad.
every running back has been doing pretty damn good against you guys.
Yeah. So for Kerryon Johnson, you're dialing him up. He's RB2, especially because Theo Riddick's going to be out again, so that means he's going to get all the passing work like he did last week, for sure. Start him with confidence. So Garrett Blunt, you're not playing him. He's just vulturing all these touchdowns away from Kerryon Johnson, keeping him away from being an RB1 and keeping him at the RB2 territory. Receivers here, Galladay, that guy's a fucking savage. I mean, you got to play him every week. He's one of those guys, like I said, Alshon Jeffrey. Like even when he's not covered, even when he's covered, he's open. So I've been playing him, especially because Golden Tate's got a tough matchup. The Seahawks are actually really good against defending the slot, and they kind of struggle on the outside. So, sure, they struggle defending the outside receivers. So I think this is a big Galladay game here. I think Tate can kind of, like I said, struggle, or temporary expectations. It's tough to sit a guy like Golden Tate, especially in PPR leagues, with how consistent he is. But he does have a tough matchup, so just, be on high alert for that one. Marvin Jones Jr., how do you feel about him? I haven't been big on him at all this year.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. It's just hard. I think he's just on, like, he's the bottom three out of those three guys.
Yeah.
Options. This week, like you said, with Golden Tate's matchup, it could look good for him. But yeah, I don't know.
I think what Marvin Jones last year, why he did so good, is it was a product of like the volume of, like, Galladay was hurt all year, so he wasn't there, and then they were throwing the ball a ton. They weren't really running the ball.
They didn't draft a running back.
Yeah, they didn't have Kerryon Johnson. They didn't have LeGarrette Blunt. They had Amir Abdullah, who was not very good. So
Amir, not good.
Yeah. So I think it was a product of, like, them throwing the ball a ton. I feel like maybe they're not throwing as much this year. They're running it with Kerryon. Like I said, Galladay's out there, and he's obviously, taking away a lot of targets from Marvin Jones. So I don't even know if I would have Marvin Jones on my team. I mean, I guess you can't drop him. I'd probably be trying to package trade him.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to trade for someone, I would throw in Marvin Jones. Maybe the name value can, get you a little boost on something. So
Throw him with, like, Demaryius Thomas or something.
yeah, and try to boost her up. Something like that. I would be trying to, like, 2-for-1 Marvin Jones and someone to boost one of my other positions. So tight end, that tight end had 2 touchdowns last week. I just think it's it's a fluke.
It's just what happens.
It's just he's playing against the Dolphins, and their defense is just terrible right now. I don't know what to say. So, Lions defense, fading them. Definitely not playing them. So, our next matchup, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's start with the Bengals here. So, every week we touch about, like, if you're playing against the Bucs, you're playing against the Falcons, these teams, playing against the Raiders, like, their defense is just so bad. You're playing everybody. And I know you're probably thinking, like, how can I trust Andy Dalton? He just shit the bed on national TV. You guys said start him. Fuck you guys. I'm not playing Andy Dalton.
Right.
But I would play Andy Dalton again this week.
Well, in that Chiefs game, the Bengals were not even on, they were not on the field.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, I think he had like a total of, I saw the percentage of him on the field compared to Pat Mahomes. It was insane.
So the time of possession was just...
Yeah, it was just crazy, dude. So, don't get discouraged with that. Although the Chiefs defense isn't that good, it's not as bad as the Bucs defense. So
yeah,
you got a do-over this week
for sure. I mean, I think there was a stat where like Andy Dalton and Marvin Jones. What's the coach? Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton together are 0-8 on primetime games. So primetime game, Dalton never shows up for those games. On the road in Kansas City, which is one of the toughest places to play. Granted, how bad the defense is in, that's still a tough place to play. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just gets super nervous and he chokes up and he can't perform under the bright lights. But this game, he's at home in Cincinnati against the Bucs, and the Bucs are 30. They're the 32nd ranked pass defense. You can't get any worse than that.
Yeah,
and this is the worst of the worst. So I would definitely feel confident throwing Andy Dalton in there. He would probably be like quarterback 8 for me or somewhere around there. He'd be up there for me, at least top 10. I think so in this game. With that being said, you start mixing again. He kind of had a stinker last week, but like I said, the Bucs defense can't stop no one. Feel comfortable starting mixing again. AJ Green, he's a stud. You're throwing him in there. But a name that I wanted to touch on was Tyler Boyd here. So Boyd was a player we talked on last week too. Play him because they're playing against the Chiefs. They're not very good. Boyd put up a stinker, but that's just kind of a product of Andy Dalton not playing very good. But some numbers on Tyler Boyd here. So the Bucs allow the most points to slot wide receivers, and Tyler Boyd lines up in the slot 71% of the time. So this is going to be a huge Tyler Boyd game right here. Probably like 100 yards. He's probably going to get a touchdown. I think this is a huge, huge Tyler Boyd game right here. Staying on Tyler Boyd here. He'd be a guy I'd be trying to trade for right now, low key on the low. He's coming off a bad game. Try to get him now if you can. I don't think you'll get him before this game, Sunday games. But if you can, get him now. Get him on the low before he blows up in this game, because especially going down the stretch, he's got some really good matchups. And there's a couple games where the matchups are really good, or even the matchups where they're playing against tough teams. It's just those tough teams have like good number one corners. So like the number one corner is going to be on AJ Green, which is going to leave Tyler Boyd open in the middle to eat up. So he'd be a trade target for me if I was trying to booster my roster. Tight end position right here. CJ, who's your mama?
I'm actually, that's who I was going to talk about earlier when you were talking about Evan Ingram. I actually have Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, and CJ in a league, and I'm going with CJ this week. I just like the matchup.
Yeah,
it's juicy.
I think the Bucs are 32nd against the tight end. They're like 30 something than everything. They're just really
if the
bad.
ball's in the air, the Bucs are not defending it.
Yeah. hot potato. Stay away.
Yeah, for real.
Nah, I like that for sure. I would for sure be playing CJ Uzomah over Evan Ingram. I'd probably say Uzomah over Kyle Rudolph as well.
Yeah, New Orleans they got Marshawn Lattimore as their corner, but they're pretty high ranked in tight end defense too.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Uzomah, pick him up. Like sometimes for the tight ends, it's there's only a few set it and forget it tight ends. You got like a Gronk, a Kelsey Ertz, those guys. I think Njoku's stepping into that territory, Trey Burton. But once you get past those names, sometimes it's just playing the matchups. Try look for opportunity. Why risk? Just because you don't know who CJ Uzomah is, like why risk playing a Kyle Rudolph or an Evan Ingram? For example, just because those guys.
Touchdown dependent.
Yeah. Why would you risk? Those guys. Who might only see 3 to 4 targets, where Uzomah could see 6 or 7 targets, and Andy Dalton, he likes to use them in the red zone. So, I touched on him last week, when Gronk was sitting out, who could you go get on the waiver wire and throw in real quick? And he was there in 70% of leagues. So, he had that touchdown. Like I said, Andy Dalton, he likes to use the tight ends in the red zone. So, yeah, I would feel super confident playing him this week. I think I have him in a league, and I have Kyle Rudolph as well. And I'm going to start CJ over Kyle Rudolph. So, defense here, I'm definitely avoiding both these defenses. This is going to be a shootout, 54 points. Let's jump on the Bucs side of the ball then. So, we say every week, with how bad the Bucs defense is, that makes Jameis Winston throw the ball every fucking play almost, and they can't run the ball. So I'd definitely be dialing him up. I think he has, in the 2 full games he's played, starting at quarterback, he has 360 plus passing yards in both those games. So I would make it 3. He's for sure going to throw for some 300 plus yards again this game.
I like it.
Running backs, I'd be fading both these running backs. This is just a mess. We touched on it in draft season. It's just, there's just certain backfields, kind of how you were saying with the Seahawks. You just want to stay away from it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of me. When draft season was here, the Bucs defense. Like, yeah, there's potential, there's upside, maybe potentially, but I don't want to deal with that headache. And so I avoided it altogether. If you have them, who would you feel more comfortable? I think Ronald Jones missed practice or something like that. Or, I guess if you're only gonna start one, it'd be Peyton Barber. But I still wouldn't feel comfortable playing either one of those.
If you have Peyton Barber, just do yourself a favor and go find somebody else.
Yeah.
If you have to, even go pick up like Raheem Mostert, something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because he's in a lot of leagues too.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable playing those guys. So, wide receivers here, you got Mike Evans. You're playing him every week. Deshaun Jackson, I feel like, is turning into you have play him every week almost. He's just, I think he's had like 10 plus points in almost every single game.
What do you think about Chris Godwin?
I like Godwin. I think he's had it's same thing, like PPR wise at least. He's had 10 plus PPR points in every single game but one. This is a potential shootout game here. The Bengals should be able to score some points on them, so they're going to be chasing from behind. I would feel comfortable starting all these guys. Granted, one of them could put up a dud, but the potential for all those guys to score, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Deshaun Jackson, the tight ends, O.J. Howard, he's had like 50 yards in every single receiving game so far this year. So I would be playing all these guys. They're going to be playing catch-up mode.
Are you playing Cameron Brate?
I would probably be fading Cameron Brate.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot.
Because like you said, there's probably some better options out there. Like Usama's available in a ton of leagues. Vance McDonald's available in 50% of leagues. I touched on him earlier. He's got a really good matchup. So I'd be fading Brate. Let's jump into the next matchup.
Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's do the Ravens in Carolina.
I gotta.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, the mad scientists got to go. See that we're busy, man. We're trying to get you guys this information. But thanks for listening. That was the first, couple games in the morning. This is part 1. We're gonna break down the next part 2 in the next episode that'll come out tomorrow. So just keep an eye out for that. Thanks for listening. Follow us, Average Bros _fantasy football. Just shoot, like I said, we're always shoot us some questions. You got some, you're in a jam. You don't know who to start. Shoot us some questions. Ask for our opinion.
I actually have a good amount of questions. So I was going to see, maybe we might do. We'll figure this out, but we might do a question answering little episode, quick episode about some guys who to start, who not to. Probably just post that on the Instagram or whatnot. Just because I have a bunch of random questions that people have been asking me. So
for sure. All right, sounds good. So yeah, stay tuned to the next one.
Check it out, baby. Thank you for listening, Average Bros. We are out.